Good morning and welcome to PBR TV on this superb sunny July morning. Today we're going to have an opportunity to get out for the first time in Rodman's new 1090. Very interesting boat and the day is perfect for it. So let's take a step on board, see what she's got to hold for us. Well, if you're not familiar with Rodman, this Spanish yard is better known in its home waters for building tough military and commercial craft. But in the UK, we know them for their tough, no-nonsense, all-weather powerboats, predominantly fast fishers. And that DNA is pretty evident the moment you start lifting the cockpit lockers and you start looking at the pretty substantial military spec stringers which give this boat its massively tough construction. What can I say about it? Realistically, you've got a single helm. It looks like a double, but really it's a single. The side door, it would be better if it was a little bit deeper, but there's only so much you can so much width you can give it. Window space is superb, massive windows on both sides. There's no blind spots on either quarter. So it's very practical and sensible from that point of view. So as a driver's boat, it's pretty good. One thing I will say, it's really a standing boat when you drive it, because when you put that flip down bolster down and then you sit, if you're 6 foot as I am, your legs, after a while you'll feel they're a little bit cramped. If you stand, yeah, it's great. And I imagine, personally I like to stand when I drive, and I think most people will probably do the same with this boat. Well, this is a 2-cabin, 4-berth boat with 1 heads. I will say that the starboard guest cabin is really ideal for 2 children. There is quite a reasonable amount of storage, but if you put 2 adults down there, even though it's been quite well designed and it's made use of every inch, I think they'd probably get on each other's nerves after a while. And the master cabin and the forepeak, yeah, it's not too bad. So let's have a look. This is the 4-peak double berth, the master cabin. All things considered, it's quite reasonable for an 11-metre boat. It's the normal triangular berth. It has hanging lockers, port and starboard. There's quite a bit of natural light, which is just as well. It's got 2 overhead hatches, one of which is an escape hatch, and 2 quite long porthole windows on each side of the bow. Yeah, and obviously, you've got storage underneath the bed as well. Okay, the guest cabin. Full standing headroom, unless you're on a huge Scandinavian 6'7", which I imagine most people aren't. You're not going to have a problem getting in here. And you've got plenty of storage behind me, so you can get plenty in there. It's just a bit of a squeeze for 2 adults, especially the one that's going to get in the berth that goes across the beam of the boat there. The one that's up here, well, he'll be pulling the long straw, and probably the smaller adult will go down there, and after a couple of days that would probably be their lot. 2 children, I don't see an issue. Well, here we have the heads. Enough room for me to stand, like the mid-cabin, and you have room here for a shower, which will be a pull-out shower. Yes, there's a pull-out shower from the tap. So enough room to stand here. There's a rail, very neat, stylish little rail for you to hang your towel up on. A sea toilet, a proper toilet, a bit of storage beneath, and a very nice, quite Gucci sink. Okay, in the cockpit we've got large access hatches on both the port and the starboard quarter. On the port one, it's got a lined, removable internal, all very neat. And on this side, I presume you can have that extra if you want, but this shows you all the way to the hull and you can see the monstrous stringers I was talking about. Likewise, we've got the same locker on the port quarter, but this one is lined, which is obviously ideal when you've got your life jacket bags and your warps to go in. All very nice and neat. The galley is, as you'd expect with a 11-metre boat, it's relatively compact, very, very nicely built, very, very solid, inset stainless steel sink. Single ring hob. That is a 60-litre fridge by the look of it. Storage, well, what you think of storage actually is a microwave, which is a lot more practical than an oven, because no one ever does any real cooking, do they, on board a boat this size? Let's face it, they go down the pub. And then beneath, fairly sizable storage locker, which is full of safety gear at the moment. Engine access. Me, I'm a great lover of engines. So that's one of the first places I gravitate to when I go on board a boat. So obviously, I've had a look into this hatch. There's some good points and there's one bad point. Okay, good points. They are pretty evident generally around the boat, around the hatch. First of all, the two Raycor fuel filters mounted on the fuel tank there forward. Yeah, fairly easily accessible. And then you've got the raw water strainer here for the starboard engine. As you can easily see that and easily get to that. Perfect. The dipsticks are handed for both engines, so they're both on the center line and you can get to them. There's just one shortcoming, and that is the raw water strainer for the port engine. You can't get to it. That is the only bugbear I've got. Otherwise, given the limitations on size in this boat, you just can't get to it unless you come in through the aft hatch in the cockpit and crawl in and get to it. Of course, every good boat needs is a warp fender locker on the transom. In this case, it's got the washdown. The big $6 million question is, would I buy this boat? Well, I'm not a fisherman, so from that perspective, it's rather hard to say. Would I buy this as a pleasure boat, as a family boat? Yes, I would. I like a boat that's going to get me back when it blows up like it did today. So from that point of view, it's reassuring, and I'll be quite happy to take my family out in it. What would I like to change about it? What would I choose? What would I specify? For starters, I would certainly want to have the Volvo Interceptor trim tabs working, which they weren't today. That was unfortunate because the software wasn't installed. That would make a big difference in the sort of sea we were out in. However, nevertheless, it still dealt with the weather well. But those trim tabs would be a great bonus. I would also go for the upgrade on the D4 270 engines. I'd go for D4 300s just to give it a little bit more punch. It's not underpowered, it is responsive, but when you're out in big seas like today, and you've got quite a few people on board, quite a lot of cruising provisions, that extra spread of power, that extra bit of torque would certainly help. But yeah, it certainly gets a thumbs up from me.